Welcome to Contracting Conversations. My name is Scott Williams, and I'm joined by my co-host, Jim Valley. We are pleased to have with us today Professor Dave Lewis, DAU's Learning Asset Manager for the OLT course Con 7620, which is Cost Plus Incentive Fee CPIF contracts. Hey, Dave, welcome back to Contracting Conversations.
Glad to be back. Thanks for having me back.
Hey, you bet, Dave. So to kick us off, you know the routine. Tell us all about 7620.
Okay, cost plus incentive fee contracts. It's one of the incentive type contracts that we have available to us in our arsenal, and we typically use these contracts where there's a little more performance risk or cost risk or a little more risk than there would be in an FPIF, a fixed price type contract. Just like the difference between using a cost type contract versus a fixed price type contract generically. Same types of things roughly. But here we have an opportunity, we believe, to control some costs perhaps. So we're going with a cost type effort with a little bit more risk. And as you remember, with cost type contracts, you're not guaranteed delivery from a contractor. You're only guaranteed those best efforts, right? So we've got to be a little concerned about that. So with this particular course, the CPIF course, we've got it broken down into 5 separate lessons or 5 chapters. The first one's just an intro, when you'd want to use CPIF type contracts, and then a quick comparison to FPIF so you're clear on, hey, I've got this requirement. Now, should I use an FPIF or should I use a CPIF? After reviewing this and the FPIF course, that will be very, very easy for you to determine. Second lesson, we get into the geometry of a CPIF contract. And when we look at that geometry, something that falls out from that is something called the range of incentive effectiveness. It's the range over which the contractor can be incentivized to control cost. Once they get below that range or above that range, there's no incentive to the contract. So you could throw money at them and it's not going to make any difference. They're not going to get any more fee. All right. So we dwell quite a bit on the range of incentive effectiveness because it is such an important part of these types of contracts. Then in lesson 3, we talk about various ways of how we can structure these CPIF contracts. Lesson 4, we give you some tips on how to negotiate them. All right, so very strong chapter on that. And then finally, we wrap it up with contract admin. So that's pretty much the design of the course. There's also a test at the end. It's going to take you about 3 hours to get through this course, including the test. So it's a pretty healthy dive, and it should arm you to be ready to go out and develop and negotiate one of these things and execute it. So that's the course.
All right, thanks, Dave. So we've already talked about 7600, right? Incentive contracts. We talked about 7610 FPIF contracts, and now here we are in 7620, which is CPIF. And I brought up before embedded videos. So I really want those that maybe didn't listen to the other 2 videos to kind of understand, what are these embedded videos that you have in this course?
Okay, thanks for asking, Jim. I'm excited about these. What we've done is we've gotten some animations and narrated them of coming up with final prices, calculating final prices for CPIF contracts. So at different final costs, what would the final price be of a CPIF contract after taking into account the impact of any overrun or underrun to target cost? The idea behind a cost incentive contract, a formula-based cost incentive contract, is a target cost is established. If the contractor overruns that cost, the contractor is going to make less fee in the case of a cost CPIF contract, and it's going to cost the government more. If the contractor underruns the target cost at the end of the contract, they will earn more fee than target fee, and it will actually cost the government less. So that's a win-win situation. So that is one of the first embeds we have, talking about that final price and the effect it has on the geometry. Then when we're first establishing a CPIF contract, we might be trying to set up our negotiation positions or things like that. We get into how you graph those with the different CPIF cost elements. And then the third embedded video talks about the CPIF geometry and what the impacts are if you relax the share ratios, that is, you flatten them, or if you make them tighter by making them steeper, what effect it has on the range of incentive effectiveness, what effect it has in negotiations. And then finally, the last video we have is one that it was done by a subject matter expert that has developed an automated tool to help graph these things. It's called the DoD CPIF graphing tool. And the narrator walks you through 3 different sheets or 3 different tabs on that tool that can help you set up an objective and during negotiations track what your objective is, what your current position is, perhaps what the contractor position is. It'll track 3 different positions simultaneously. So when you make a move, you'll be able to see graphically, because it draws a graph as well, draws these graphs as well. You'll be able to see the impacts on the geometry. This can help lead to better settlements and to quicker settlements, because you can see where the differences are visually on those graphs and make offers to try to accommodate where those to resolve those differences. So really powerful tool for negotiation.
Yeah, it sounds like a really neat tool. Thanks, Dave.
Sure.
Absolutely, Dave. Sounds like a really, really cool class. Talk to us a little bit about your target audience for 7620.
Okay. Well, for this class, of course, anybody that's going to be dealing with a CPIF contract in the future, contracting officer, contract specialist, price analyst, DCMAer, whoever it may be, strongly recommend they take it. But these classes are set up where anybody can come in and take it. And when you're negotiating these incentive type contracts, it tends to be a team effort. You've got your contracting folks, but then program managers got to be in there. The technical people have to be in there, because they're providing all of the positions or all of the inputs that are going to establish positions for at target, which would be the objective, and maybe an optimistic cost, which might be an opening position in negotiations, and a pessimistic cost, which might be the high that we would go to. Well, those technical people are providing the inputs that establish those positions. So it'd be quite beneficial for them to get an idea of how these things work as well, and it'll give them an idea of how important their inputs are to coming up with a good incentive arrangement. Their inputs are key. Without those inputs, you're just arguing against the wind. You have to be armed with real data, and that's what these specialists give us. So I'd recommend it for anybody that thinks they're going to be involved with an incentive contract. This will make you smarter, and smarter is always better.
All right.
Great, Dave. Thank you. And for folks that are taking the class, spread that word to your peers and to people on your team. This is definitely a course they can click in, take. You don't have to be contracting per se to take the course. Other disciplines can do it, as Dave has explained, and I think that's a great opportunity for all to understand how a CPIF contract works. So thanks again, Dave. I appreciate that explanation.
Glad for the opportunity.
All right, Dave, before we let you go, and this is our 3rd broadcast with you with 7600, 7610 before this, do you have anything else you want to add before we go?
I would just say that incentive contracts in general can be powerful motivators. They are additional work from your standard run-of-the-mill cost type contract or firm fixed price type contract, but they can be powerful motivators in getting contractors to control costs and do other things. Okay, so keep these in mind. They're a little bit extra work, but they're worth the trouble. And I appreciate the opportunity to spread the word.
Great, Dave. We are so glad to have had you. Those out there listening to this in 7620, please take a look at 7610, which is FPIF, and also 7600, which is incentive contracts. They aren't very long. So 7600 is only an hour, 7610 is 4 hours, and then you have 7620 that Dave just talked about, which is 3 hours. So not very long, but highly impactful if this is something you're going to need. So that is all the time we have for today. If you haven't already, subscribe to our Contracting Conversations channel. This can be located not only on DAU Media, but also on Apple Podcasts and YouTube. So please Sign up for those, subscribe, and you'll get notified anytime we have a new recording that's published once a week. Every Wednesday is when it's released. So please sign up and give us your comments in the comments section below. So if you have any questions or for discussions, please do that and spread the word of the channel to your peers and those you supervise or lead. Let us help you answer their questions. We look forward to having future contracting conversations with you.